Welcome to the Sandwich Generation podcast, a resource for adults balancing the dual responsibilities of raising children and caring for aging parents. Whether you're helping your parents downsize, explore real estate options, navigating caregiving, or looking for practical advice to help your family thrive, this is the place for you. Join us as we bring you expert insights, heartfelt stories, and actionable items to support you and your family within this unique generation. Hi there, it's Sara. I'm solo, just doing a little intro for you guys. We're going to do something different today. So you've probably heard us talk on the podcast about our educational series that we do for seniors, the Indy Senior Living Series. And we thought we would share just some quick snippets from a previous Indy Senior Living Series where we discussed scams and how they target seniors, how seniors can protect themselves. And I always learn something too. So these are just a few little clips and snippets that we're going to play for you today, where we had a guest or panelist on from the Better Business Bureau, the Internal Revenue Service, and a home health care company. And they just kind of give some of their tips and advice and things to be mindful of as we are, trying to avoid something bad happening to ourselves or to those that we love. So Lisa and I will be back next week with our regular podcast, but we thought this would be just a great way to kind of get some helpful tips out there for you. And I hope you all enjoy. We'll see you next week.
So a couple of the things that we've been seeing a lot of is like the pressure techniques where people call you on the phone. And if you pick up, which we always recommend you don't unless you know the number. But if you pick up the phone and they're saying, okay, we're going to arrest you, we're sending somebody out to get you, we're going to repossess your car, we're going to be arresting you in 10 minutes unless you send us money, and we want you to go to the Walmart, don't hang up the phone, go buy, $500 of Green Dot cards and send them to this address. Okay, think about this. Do you think the Internal Revenue Service really wants a bunch of gift cards?
Naturally
we do. And
when you say it out loud like that,
yeah.
it sounds weird.
So the whole thing is they try to pressure you into these things and try to get you to act before you can really think about it. Well, if you were to sit down and actually kind of take it slow, so we always say, hang up the phone if you feel pressured, right? Because if it really is somebody legitimate, they will call back, right? And if they're not legitimate, they'll call back too.
Does the IRS call us though?
Normally not. And we can talk about that again more in detail later. The IRS is not going to first read out and touch you by calling you or emailing you. We will always contact you by mail first. And if you tell us you want us to contact you by phone after that, we will, but you will know that we will be calling you, right? And if you have any doubt that it's the IRS, they'll tell you how you can verify that it is the IRS, right? Okay. But in terms of these scams, anytime you feel that you're being pressured, the key thing is if, you just need to allow yourself time to process what they're saying and really slow down and think that if this makes any sense. Okay. So if you're not sure and you want to give yourself time, just hang that phone up if you happen to pick it up. Okay. So there's that, but they get really smart. So one of the other things that we've been seeing is that, how you have these paid, mail delivery systems. So like FedEx or the US Postal Service, you can. And what's the other one?
UPS.
UPS. Thank you. Okay. So what they're doing now is they're taking a piece of paper. They make it look like it's got the IRS logo on it. They're putting it in one of these paid mailers. So you're thinking, oh, no scammer is going to pay that extra money to send me something like that. So it comes in one of those nice paid mailers. You open it up and it says, hey, you owe us all this money. We want you to send it to us right now. That is not from the IRS. We do not do that. we just don't do that. Okay. But that's the biggest one that we're seeing right now.
A couple of weeks ago, I was expecting a package. And then I get a text from UPS. I'm not from UPS, United States Postal Service, that they need my address and there's additional postage. Well, the package came an hour later, but fortunately my credit card company called me immediately. They saw it and they took it off, but it was from the United States Postal Service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
I got that too. And I did have a package coming. I contacted this store who was sending me the package. With the phone, on the phone directly.
and I just got one like that 2 days ago. So yesterday I actually went to the US Postal Service.
Oh.
I didn't click anything. And I said, folks, you didn't send me this, right? And they said, oh my God, you're the third person this week
So,
who's come in here. So
New scam, right?
it's a big
Yeah.
scam.
Back to our risk report, we saw that the U.S. Postal Service was the #1 impersonated entity last year. And so that's also to keep in mind. They're very good about using logos and seals to make things look official. And a lot of times it's just about timing. I mean, I think it's probably very coincidental that you got that right when you're expecting something from there because they're hoping. I like to say that scammers like to cast a really wide net to see what fish they can grab. That happens that the timing lines up. So I think that what you did by actually going to the Postal Service and asking them before you click on anything is really important.
I was going to follow up on what Dave is saying, and Jennifer, you may have something to do on this, but it's just like all of us listen to the news, so do the scammers. So if you find out that there is like a new tax credit or there's new money around for something like we had the thing about the child tax credit, and then we had some special funding that was available for businesses to help tide them over during COVID, where if you had employees, you could apply for some government money that would allow you to pay your employees or use the money for something to keep your business afloat during that time. And there were all kinds of tax credits. So whenever there's money out there, there are always, and stimulus payments. Remember the stimulus payments we got from the federal government and from the state of Indiana? So the scams follow the money. The scams follow the disasters. So like David said, if there's been a flood and there are people going around the neighborhood helping to repair homes, there are probably going to be some bad apples in those bunches. You just have to make sure you're taking, again, just make sure this all makes sense. And if you have any doubt, don't be forced. Don't let yourself be rushed into making a decision. You always step back. If it's for services, I mean, I'm not an expert there, but I would definitely get some second and third opinions.
When you get those text messages, like it's your banking institution or cell phone, and they want you to click a link to log in, any reputable like banking institution will not say click this link. They'll just say log into your account because you should know where to go. So I think that's a big red flag right there.
Oh, that's a good.
And then to kind of backtrack a couple of things about how scammers are really in the know of the news. One example I like to use is if you remember a few years ago, Amazon was considering new headquarters in different states in the country, and Indiana was one of them. Well, that year we saw that there was a huge rise of employment scams, of scammers posing as Amazon wanting to get jobs at these locations where they're trying to find these new headquarters. And so they are, like someone said, if it's a full-time job for them. We've had a romance scammer, Kara Kenny on WRTV. She spoke with a reformed romance scammer, and he came forth saying that they actually have this manual of like how to attract white women, and it has like pickup lines and like what time of day to talk to them and to have the person talk about themselves. So there's some things are pretty organized in it. And then I even received an email once. It was trying to be an exploitation scam, saying I was doing things online, assuming I was a male. It was like, I knew all the red signs, but there was a line in there that I think is really scammers' motto. And it is think less, do more.
Yes.
And so you have to think like every time the heightened emotions they want you to think under pressure, and what Kate was saying is the different approaches. So we have like the carrot approach, where they're dangling something in front of you that's very luring. So it could be like you won a sweepstakes that you never entered in, or you won other things. And then they have the stick
Have,
approach.
claimed money.
Right, unclaimed money.
Yeah.
Or they have the stick approach where they're trying to threaten you with action, posing as a government entity, or even calling as the impersonated police officer. So they try all these different approaches. And certainly you have to also be protective of your loved ones. We're seeing they're even starting to try to scam young people under the age of 18. If you think about games that they're playing on,
Yeah.
and apps and advertisements that come up with that. And we don't have as much data there because we can't collect it from them directly, but we're starting to ask the parents, are you seeing your kids being targeted for scams as well?
That's good. So your kids, grandkids,
yep.
things like this, that's something to talk about for sure. We kind of talked about where we can find reliable information about safety and scams. Did anybody want to add anything to that?
Oh, thank you. Hello. Hello. Yes, I would definitely like to. So, especially if people have been the victim of identity theft or just to protect yourself, one of the things we recommend, and also the Federal Trade Commission recommends, is that you can always, I guess I would call it, lock your credit with the three major credit bureaus like TransUnion, Experian, and I know the other one. Thank you, Equifax. And actually, we have a publication that is here and also available online. It's called Identity Theft Information for Taxpayers. And it gives you the toll-free numbers that you can reach out to those three credit bureaus if you want to block your credit. And what is really good about that is if anybody tries to get credit, like take out a car loan or buy a house or something small, and they're trying to apply for credit, if you have a lock on your credit report, then they can't get it unless you lift that lock. So you have to remember you get it. So if you want to go buy a new car, you go lift the credit for 10 days and then put it back on or whatever. But that information is there. The other thing I want to mention is identity protection pins that you may have heard about. Identity protection pins are something new, but they're also something old. So going back to my story, if the Internal Revenue Service thinks you've been the victim of a tax-related identity theft, then we will reach out to those taxpayers and say, hey, we believe you're the victim of identity theft, and to make it better for you so that we will know it's you when you file future returns, we're going to send you this 6-digit identity protection PIN number that will be sent to your address in writing in a letter. Okay, so again, in writing in a letter will be sent to your address, and it'll be good for 1 year at a time. And at the end of that year, you'll get another one. And so what you'll do, you can still file all your tax returns or any of that with that identity protection PIN, but you'll be asked to put that 6-digit number in when you file the return. Now, the nice thing is that this is not only good for us as individuals, but getting back to the children and grandchildren even, like you can request an identity protection PIN for a minor that is your dependent. So like if you have, grandchildren, their parents could request an identity protection PIN for them. And it's very helpful. The nice thing is that this identity protection PIN will continue year after year, which is a good thing. And it's a bad thing because you might want to decide, okay, I opted in, I want to opt out. So beginning this year, there is a way for you to opt out. I don't know the mechanism yet because they haven't told us, but they told us that you can opt out. But that identity protection PIN is a really big deal. A really big deal.
I was going to touch on two-factor authentication, 2FA. Have you seen that? It's totally inconvenient, but it's helpful in preventing scammers and hackers getting into your information, right?
Even there, though, with like verification codes, they're finding ways to fool you into giving that over, because that's where, let's say you're logging into an account and they send you a code to your phone that only you will receive. Well, they come up with some premise as to why they need to have that code, so then they can get into your account and take it over. So even there with these multi-factor authentications, again, they're really good about thinking of ways to get around it. I want to add another resource as far as prevention for scam at bbb.org. We have resources. We have the scam tracker. We also have bbb.org/scam prevention. And so there's resources there, but there's also a quiz that you can take to see what type of scams are you most likely to fall for. So then you can be a little more prevalent in that, and have family members do it as well. And then I want to backtrack a quick second about talking to friends, like with storm chasers or contractors. Word of mouth is great. Then also utilize us, because we have profiles on businesses, and often, sadly, we will get consumers that reach out after the fact. And if they had just come, they'll see that there's a government action on this business, or there's a pattern of complaints related to it. So I like to tell people, take a multi-pronged approach to your research. Talk to friends or professionals that you trust. Utilize bbb.org, utilize other resources to do your research beforehand before you start handing over any dollar to anyone.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of handing dollars to anyone, contractors, for the most part, don't give them any money until the work is completed. Now, some people might call for half up front. You really gotta just use your best judgment on these things.
I wanted to mention one other resource in the state of Indiana, or this would be any other state, the Indiana Attorney General's office. I'm sure the Better Business Bureau works with them, but the Indiana Attorney General's office is one that handles a lot of very serious complaints, and will actually be the organization or the person that would prosecute bad things that happen. And on their website, they usually have information as well about that.
Oh, you could probably look up open cases on people,
Yeah.
I would assume, because that would be public information. Yeah.
Exactly.
If you could just give the one really your best piece of advice to the audience, online and in person. These are learning-based folks, so you guys are proactive, but you may have a circle of influence who maybe there's one or two people who are not, and you could share this information with them. What's one thing they could share with their friends and family? Good piece of advice. I know it's hard. There's a lot.
Yeah, just keep communicating where you're at with your current status, and advocating for your own personal needs as it relates to your own individual activities of daily living, and then also things that you're fearful about or feeling threatened about, so people can help support you.
I just want people to make sure that you have the right to say no, or that you have the right to ask for more time to make a decision, and just slow down. Just slow down and think about things before you jump into some kind of decision. That
Yeah,
would be my
that's very
best
good.
piece of advice.
Always do your research. When in doubt, always call the company yourself. Don't rely on a number they've given you or the account link, anything like that. So always go to the account yourself or give that number a call.
All great points. So what I'm going to bring up is something I meant to say earlier, so I want to make sure I don't forget it. Often we don't know what to do once we've been scammed. And so something that we put out recently is a scam survival toolkit on bbb.org. It's on the scam tracker page, where you can fill out a little questionnaire that then tells you all the steps you need to take based on the scam that you've been hit by. And so that's a great resource, because a lot of people, their question is, what do I do now that I've been scammed? The other thing is, there's a website that you can put in your email address to see if your email has been involved in any type of data breach, because that information out there is how a lot of these scammers will then contact you. So that website is Have I Been, so HAVEIBEEN, P as in Peru, WNED as in Delta.com. I sure can. So it's HAV as in Victor, EIB as in Beta, EEN as in November, P as in Peru, WN as in November, ED.com. So Have I Been, and it's instead of the word owned, it's a P instead of an O. So PWNED.com. And what I can do too is provide that to Lisa and Sarah, and then they can send it out to all of you guys
Yeah,
as well.
that's good. I've got it. Have I been pwned.com.
As always, remember to give us the like, follow, subscribe, share with people that you think will benefit. And we'd love to hear your feedback on people you would like to hear from as guests here on the podcast as well. So we'll see you next week.